Welcome to the Pick Museum of Anthropology's Collections Tour. My name is Rachelle Wilson and I am the curator at the Pick Museum of Anthropology. And just to give you a little bit of background, the Pick Museum of Anthropology was founded in 1964 by James Gunnarsson. He was a faculty member in the Department of Anthropology here at NIU that wanted to have a collection that was available for students and faculty to be able to research, utilize in their classrooms for educational purposes, just a variety of reasons. And over the last 50 some odd years, we have developed into what you see here today. We were really lucky in 2014 to be approved for an Imls Grant in order to upgrade our collections facilities. So what we're going to look at today is our brand new storage units that we received funds for. One of the things that we were able to do with our Imls Grant funding is purchase brand new storage for this entire area, and one of them is our wide span shelving here that you see at the beginning of our storage tour. This was a really great purchase for us because it allowed us to be able to safely store our oversized materials that just would not fit in our new compact storage, which we'll see in just a little bit. So as you're looking around here, probably one of the things that you're going to notice is there's a lot of material from all over the world. And here at the Pick, we do collect material from everywhere. And we have stuff prominently from Southeast Asia. We also have stuff from Latin America, from Native North America, Europe, as well as 19th and 20th century farm equipment. In 2012, the Pick Museum of Anthropology was lucky enough to get an NEH grant. And with those funds, we were able to start our rehousing project. And the first thing that we opted to rehouse were our textiles. The Pick Museum of Anthropology currently has a little over 1,600 textiles in our collection, and about a little over half of those are from Southeast Asia. But we do have textiles, again, from all over the world. One of the things that you'll notice about this is that it is compact storage, but every single textile in this unit is rolled. And one of the reasons that we roll textiles is for posterity. When we look at textiles, so many of us are so used to just folding things just like we do at home. One of the problems with this technique, though, is when you fold a textile, you put a lot of strain on the fibers on that crease. And so over time, that crease puts more and more strain on those fibers, and then after, a little while, they start to break. And before long, you've got two pieces of the same textile. So at the Pick Museum of Anthropology, as well as several other museums, we've started rolling our textiles. And we do this using archival materials, including blue board, acid-free tissue paper, Melanex, as well as twill tape to actually store these appropriately in these rolled units, which can house a couple thousand textiles. So we are so happy to have this because we still have room for growth. So here we are looking at our compact storage unit. Why did we opt for compact storage unit? Because we have a tight space. So one of the nice things about compact storage as opposed to traditional storage where you have a lot of stationary shelving units is that you don't have to have an aisle for each section. Compact units roll, so you only have to have one aisle open at any given time, so it gives you a lot more space to have shelving and to be able to house things. And what we're looking at today is part of our Indonesia collection. And another part of the Imls grant that we were lucky enough to get were funds to build storage mounts. So museums come at this from different ways. Some museums will just go in and buy a variety of storage mounts directly from wholesale providers. We actually opted to buy the supplies and individually build mounts for each one of the objects that you see in our collection. So everything that you see here, all of these mounts were actually built by students who were working on our grant at the time. And we were able to assess each object individually and figure out what its needs were in terms of storing it safely in perpetuity. So just as an example, this is one of the hats that one of our students actually built a custom mount for. So this particular hat, coming from Indonesia, when we found it was a little sad. It had been laying down over time, and these little wings that you see here are made of leather. They were actually stuck up under it, and so over time it had become kind of curved and stuck up under the hat. So what this mount actually has done is it's allowed it to sit comfortably on a nice little pillow under the hood of this, and then it built a little pillow that allowed these little wings to start to spread out a little more and to start to take the original form that it would have had when you're actually wearing it, allowing those wings to actually float behind. One of the last phases of our IMLS project is to rehouse our garment storage. So as you can see behind me, we have these nice 4 units for our garments. And right now our garments are not very happy in the situation that they're in. Some of them are not on great hangers. They're in these plastic bags, and we're not really sure if these are archival. So the next step of our museum project is to take these really wonderful padded hangers that we've gotten from an archival resource and to start the process of rehousing each and every one of our garments that you see up here already on hangers or down here at the bottom that are folded up. As we've already discussed, any type of fabric does not like being folded up. So the next part that we are going to actually take initiative on is to get all of this plastic off of our garments, to get them on padded hangers that will, stop the stretching, as well as to assess what's going on down here and determine if anything down here needs to go up on hangers or possibly even be rolled itself. So as I was saying earlier, the compact storage rolls so that you only have one aisle open at a time. The important thing to remember with compact storage is you need to move slowly. Some of us like to get in and just roll it very quickly, but that is not very safe for the objects. So remember, 10 seconds at a time. There you go. So here at the Pick Museum of Anthropology, we do have a social justice-driven mission. And one of the things that we are working towards right now is decolonizing our collections care. And a big aspect of that is reevaluating our NAGPRA compliance and reopening lines of communications with descendant communities of the objects that we have within our collection space right now. A part of that is thinking critically and talking with communities about how things should be stored, how things should be cared for, as well as what objects may need to be repatriated to descendant communities. So as we were building storage boxes, one of the issues that came up were our katsinas and how to properly store them. So what we actually ended up coming up with were storage boxes made of blueboard and other archival materials that would protect the katsinas from any dust and any light that might be coming in and affecting them. But we were able to provide each one with a little window, and what that window has actually done is allow the katsinas to be able to look out into the world around them as well as to communicate with each other as they are all stored together. So working in the museum, one of the things that we do daily is monitor the environment. So we use these little things called data loggers. Our little data loggers, as you can see, are pretty tiny, and what they do is monitor the temp and humidities within our different storage areas as well as our gallery. And these are Wi-Fi connected, so they hook up to either our phones or to our iPads, and we can see from our own desks what all of the temp and humidity are like in each one of our collections areas. And if there's ever an issue, if maybe it gets a little too warm, we can actually go in and monitor our HVAC and change that. Or if the temp gets too low, we can also go in and change that, as well as making sure that our humidity stays within a range that keeps all of our objects happy. So now we're moving on to another storage area here at the Pick Museum of Anthropology. And as you can see in this particular room, it's where we store the majority of our ceramics. So as you can see, we have a large variety of ceramics. Some of them are contemporary, some of them appear to be much older. One of the things when working in museums that you have to contend with are objects that have sketchy provenance. Meaning that we don't really have a clear picture of how they were excavated, where they came from, and how the individuals who were donating them actually came into possession of them. One of the realities of working in museums is that a lot of the materials that do come in, or that were coming in, we're no longer taking those objects with sketchy provenance, is that they were looted. It's something that we contend with every day. It's something that's a part of this history that museum professionals are looking into, it's something we are conscious of, and it's something that we work towards every day to try and deal with these objects and make sure that we're doing our due diligence to see if they need to be repatriated to communities, and looking at how we need to continue to store them and continue to utilize them for educational purposes as well as archaeological initiatives. So we are moving on to our last storage room on this tour, which is our baskets room. One of the things that you will notice about this room, as you probably noticed about the ceramics room, is that we have old style shelving. And unfortunately, with this old style shelving, it is not ideal storage for these baskets. The open shelving like this results in dusty situations, lighting, and as you can tell, we have a lot of baskets, so much in here is actually overcrowded. These baskets are not really happy. Another thing that faces us with this particular room is the lack of environmental controls. This particular room is kind of on a different system from our other HVAC system, and it often results in very sporadic numbers. When I'm talking about having to monitor the environment, this is the room that gives me the most trouble. And as a result of it, it really has caused a lot of damage to our baskets that we're mindful of, that we have students currently working on thinking about how we can better store this, about how we can deal with the HVAC issues and work towards a better environment for these baskets. I want to thank you for joining me on this tour of the Pick Museum of Anthropology storage collections. If you have any questions following this tour, or if you are interested in getting involved at the Pick Museum of Anthropology, please feel free to visit our website and contact staff with any questions that you might have.